Hi guys, it's Eve. It's the 23rd of July 2020. Still lockdown, I'm still on placement. I have a cat now. All that good shit. I'm going to sit the table, off the table and not break it. Okay, I'm going to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. I finished playing the game last night. It's been out for about a month, so it's not new. There's been loads of discourse about it, loads of discussion. Loads of people are like, the game is ruined, da, 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 online. And I want to share my thoughts because it is a very divisive game, understandably so. And my feelings about it maybe aren't the same as others, or maybe they are, I don't know. Okay, so first thing I'm going to say is that the original game, The Last of Us, is an incredibly beloved game. Like, The Last of Us is considered to be one of the best games of all time, for good reason. It's a very emotional, well-developed story with two main characters who are very... I think what it does so well is that it makes it feel very, very lifelike, as well as combining very good gameplay and very good mechanics of it too. It's a very well crafted game, and I think it's not in the same direction as Naughty Dog's usual repertoire. They've done like Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter and Uncharted, so their games are quite light-hearted, I'd say, for the most part, but The Last of Us was their first sort of real, I think, meaty game. But it is really good. It's a fantastic game. The storytelling is really fantastic. And so my first sort of feeling is that this sequel was never going to please everybody, ever. Never ever was going to please everybody. There are people who wanted essentially another iteration of the first game, and it was quite evident, I think, that Neil Druckmann, who was the director and the creator, was not going to do that, and fair play to him, he wasn't going to do that. So, full spoilers obviously, I finished the game last night, and after I finished the game, the first thing I said was, fuck you Neil Druckmann, right? And I made that statement because I shouted at the telly, and the reason I did that is because the game ends on such a downer ending that I was like, what was all this for? And then I slept on it and I realised that was the point, wasn't it? The whole point of the game is to feel confliction, like to feel conflict. The way they did it was actually really clever. I think the whole idea of playing an anti-hero is not new. Playing two anti-heroes simultaneously with their own causes is quite a cool way to do it. And although I don't always agree with every single aspect of the game in terms of the direction and where they went with it, I do think the actual concept of the game, the way they did it, the way the story ran, was actually really good, and it made me think. And I think just because it's not pleasant and it's uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's not a valid story discussion. I think a lot of the people who dislike this game, I've gone on Twitter and I've had a look at the comments, and there's a lot of people who have a very adverse reaction to the ending, and I think because I did as well, and so did my sister by the sounds of it. I've not spoken to her yet, but the reaction at the end was very adverse because Ellie loses everything. Like, she's lost a girlfriend, she's lost a son, she's lost a father figure, she's lost a community, all for the sake of revenge, and it seems very pointless, especially given that about 3/4 of the way through the game you feel like she's given up on the whole revenge task. And there was a big part of me that feels the game probably should have ended there after that second day, after that sort of Abby's first day in Seattle. It probably should have ended there. The fact that she went back for revenge feels like an add-on, but I know that it was there for a reason, because it was to highlight sort of how trauma can fuck you up, basically. Everybody in this game is an asshole, but that is part of the course in the series. It's set in the post-apocalyptic world. It's not meant to be pleasant. It's not nice. And the moments of levity, there aren't as many in this game, but the moments of levity are there, and you do feel for the characters. There were parts of this game where I did not want to play the character I was playing. There's a second character called Abby, who is the antagonist to Ellie, and she's the one who killed Joel at the start of the game, and you play her for half the game, and I do feel like, so at some points I was playing her and I was like, I don't want to play this bitch, I don't like her. But the more I played it, and the more I realised actually she has her reasons for being the way she is. And it was a really good insight on how, you know, they say that the road to evil is paved with good intentions, don't they? And they say that people have reasons to behave the way they do, and trauma has it's trauma that has ultimately affected people in the way they have, and why they have acted the way they do. And honestly, I think that's probably the best game I've seen to really display that. I've seen a lot of criticism as well. This is kind of off this. I think the main criticism is about their storyline and how it went and stuff, and I think it's because it gave such an adverse reaction. People are reacting perhaps on emotion as opposed to necessarily what the game is supposed to be, what they thought Neil Druckmann should have given them. There's also a small minority of people online who feel that the inclusion of queer characters was an issue. Personally, I don't think they were an issue. I think they were all done well. I don't think the thing is with queer characters and any representation is that the best way to do it is to have it inclusive as if it's not an issue, because obviously in the setting it makes sense. Of course there's going to be lesbians, of course there's going to be trans people, of course there's going to be whatever, different minorities. That's just how it will be in that situation. The fact that Ellie and Dina are dating is a non-issue. The fact that Lev is a trans character is a non-issue. It's it's mentioned a couple of times in passing, and that's it. There's no they're referred to as he the entire game. There's no Ellie and Dina's relationship is not really referred to as weird, apart from the one scene with Seth at the bar. It's not seen as weird. I do think some people have an issue, unfortunately, with playing female characters. And they don't relate to me as female characters, and I think that whole argument really is silly. Additionally, some people have kicked off about Lev being dead named in the context of the story and was a bad representation of trans characters. I'm not trans. I don't have much of a say on that topic, but honestly, I've seen some discourse online with some trans people who say actually he was a really good representation of a trans character. He was voiced by a trans actor. So to say there's no involvement of trans people in it is completely untrue. He was voiced by a trans actor, and they did consult with trans people for the making of that character, and he's dead named in the context of the story because he basically escaped from a cult. So it makes sense contextually. You have to contextualize these things. You can't just make statements and stuff that aren't true. Just because you felt offended doesn't mean that everybody else did. Recently as well, there's been a thing about Ghost of Tsushima and about its representation of Asian characters, and some Asian American people are getting angry, and then actual Asian people were no, it's fine, and the Asian Americans were well, they went behind my back and asked the actual Asian people, and I'm honestly, I think you're being a bit silly, to be fair. But yeah, Last of Us Part 2's gameplay was really good, much more varied than the first game. I didn't find it. Some reviews said it was repetitive, and I think it did outstay its welcome a little bit at the end. It's a really long campaign. It's about 25 to 30 hours, but it's certainly I found it much more fun to play than the first game. And the first game was really good and really solid, but the mechanics had been tweaked. They were much better than they were. The swimming mechanics I found was a bit better to control than the first game. I found having having the ability to dodge attacks was really good, and really useful. It made the melee fights a bit more interesting. I did like the very distinct difference between playing Ellie and Abby as well. I did like that Abby's like bodybuilder and Ellie is like quite life, so she could fit into things better. I did really like the way they mixed it up. And obviously aspects like the soundtrack was really good. I thought Ashley Johnson's performance was really, really good in particular. I cannot believe that Laura Bailey's been getting death threats on Twitter. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, she's paid to do a voice, like, come on guys, it's stupid. And somebody was like defending it, saying like, well, morally, like it's unacceptable the way they went to the character. And I was like, it's not a real person. Like, this is not a real person. We'll talk about the fictional character, you fucking moron. So yeah, that's all I've got to say really. I would rate the game 7 out of 10. I liked it a lot. I don't like it as much as the first game. I did like, gave me a visceral reaction, and I just wanted to spew some thoughts. And I'm going to talk to my sister very soon. Okay, all from me, goodbye.